Ever thought about taking your software global? It can feel pretty overwhelming, right? Like you're leaping into the total unknown. But what if you had a roadmap? Well, that's exactly what we're doing here. We're going to break down the four key pillars. That's strategy, product, operations, and go-to-market to really guide you through it. All right, let's jump in. Okay, first things first, let's get one thing straight. Going global, it's not just a nice to have anymore. It's not just some extra credit for growth. As BureauWorks says, and I think this is so important, localization, it's a necessity. Seriously. The companies that are treating this as just an option, they're the ones that are going to get left in the dust.
So you might be thinking, okay, it's a necessity, but man, it sounds like a massive challenge. And you're not wrong. But the thing is, the opportunity is just as massive. Let's really quickly look at why you'd even want to do this.
And what's so cool here is that these benefits, they all stack on top of each other. You're not just getting new markets. You're also diversifying your income, which means, if things get shaky in one country, it doesn't sink the whole ship. Plus, you're modernizing your entire company. You're boosting your brand's value, and this is a huge one, you can start earning in stronger currencies, like the US dollar or the euro. That makes your business so much more resilient and less tied to the roller coaster of just your home market.
All right, let's get into it. Pillar number one is strategy. Before you do literally anything else, you've got to have a smart plan for where you're going to go. This is the bedrock, the foundation for everything that comes next.
So, where do you even begin? The great news is you probably already have the answer hiding in plain sight. Seriously, don't just throw a dart at a map. Look at your own data, your own analytics. Where are your international visitors, your signups? Where are they already coming from? That little bit of organic interest, that's your gold mine. It's the clearest signal you're going to get for which markets to tackle first. The key is, don't treat every country the same. Just follow the data.
And this is such a smart way to think about it, because it shows you how to be strategic without blowing your entire budget. You don't need a perfect professional human translation for every single word. Instead, you use this tiered approach, right? So for your low-traffic help docs, maybe raw machine translation is good enough. For more structured stuff, you can use a trained machine. For your actual UI, maybe you add a layer of basic human editing. And then for the really critical stuff, your homepage, your marketing, your ads in that number one target market, that's where you bring in the pros for a full human translation and review. See, it's all about matching your investment to the potential impact.
Okay, so that's strategy. Now let's talk about pillar two, the product itself. Once you know where you're going, you have to figure out how to adapt your actual product to win there. And honestly, one of the biggest levers you can pull is pricing. So on a high level, there are really two main ways to think about this. First, you've got price skimming. This is where you launch with a high price to get all those early adopters, the people who have to have it first. You maximize your profits before the competition shows up. Think about the launch of a brand new iPhone or something. Then you have the total opposite, penetration pricing. Here, you come in super low to grab as much of the market as you can, as fast as you can. The goal is to basically squeeze out your competitors from the start. Okay, that's the theory, but let's get into some real practical tactics you can use. Tactic one, personalize your offer. So instead of just a generic 20% off for everyone, maybe you offer a private discount code right at checkout, or free shipping on their first purchase. It feels exclusive, like it's just for them, and that is a super powerful way to nudge someone who's kind of on the fence about the price.
And you can get even smarter with this by using data to automate it. This is where basket-based discounts come in. It's not random. It's triggered by what a customer has bought before, or even what they're looking at on your site right now. So if you see they keep looking at a specific feature, but they haven't pulled the trigger, boom, you hit them with a perfectly timed discount. It feels less like a desperate sale and more like you're totally reading their mind.
All right, tactic 3 is a total classic, and you've seen it a million times with companies like Amazon. You basically take your best-selling, most popular product and offer it at an absolutely killer price. Now, you might not even make much money on that first sale, but that's not the point. The point is you've just trained that customer that you are the go-to place for a great deal. They'll be back, and next time they'll buy the other stuff with the higher profit margins.
And last but not least, the good old product bundle. Super simple, but super effective. You just take a bestseller, pair it with a less popular item or an accessory, and sell them together for a single discounted price. It's a total win-win. The customer feels like they're getting an amazing deal, and you get to sell inventory that might have just been sitting around. Okay, we're moving on to pillar number 3, operations. This is the nitty-gritty. It's the internal engine of your company. We're talking about your people,
The legal stuff, the financial systems, all the behind-the-scenes machinery that has to be running smoothly for this whole global thing to actually work.
So managing a team scattered across the globe, it's a whole different ballgame. You need crystal clear communication. I'm talking a clear org structure, super precise tasks, and expectations everyone understands. And yeah, you got to get the practical stuff right. Time zones, local holidays, all that. But honestly, the most important thing is finding that balance between control and trust. Use all the modern tools you can to keep everyone on the same page, but then you have to trust your team and give them the freedom to actually do their best work.
Okay, listen up because this next one is a big deal. Compliance. It is absolutely non-negotiable. The second you start operating in a new country, you are subject to their laws. And things like data privacy laws, Europe's GDPR, Brazil's LGPD, they are no joke. The penalties for messing this stuff up are massive. This has to be a top priority for you from day one. Seriously. All right, let's talk about the fun part, getting paid. International sales can be a real headache for your cash flow, right? But check this out. This diagram shows a really clever solution called supplier's credit. Here's the simple version of how it works. You, the exporter, you ship your product. Then you basically hand over the IOU to a local bank. That bank pays you right away. Boom, cash flow problem solved. Then it's the bank's job to go and collect the money from your international customer over time. It's just a fantastic way to take a lot of the risk out of the sale for you. And that brings us to our fourth and final pillar, go to market. So you've got your strategy, your product is adapted, your operations are humming along. Now for the big question. How do you actually go out there and get customers? How do you sell in a culture that might be completely different from your own? You know, some of the best advice on this actually came from a Reddit user, and it's so simple but so powerful. They said, market to niches. Don't just be a software company, be the software company for local breweries or whatever it is. As the user points out, if a potential client sees that you've already worked in their exact industry, they're 10 times more likely to pick you. That's the power of niching down. It's specialization, it's social proof, it's everything. So what does that look like in practice? A few key tactics. First, you need a slick, professional website, and it has to be loaded with case studies and reviews that prove you know your stuff. Next, you take that expertise and you go into online communities. But here's the key. You're not there to sell. You're there to give away free, helpful advice. That builds massive authority and trust. Combine that with some smart targeted ads and long-term SEO, and you'll get the right people coming to you. But underneath it all, you have to know your unique selling proposition. You have to be able to answer the question, why should they choose you over anyone else? And this is so crucial. Selling is not a one-size-fits-all game. Your sales approach has to change depending on the culture. For instance, in a lot of Latin American countries, it's all about building a personal relationship first. The sale comes later. But if you try that in the US or parts of Europe, you might lose them. There, a direct, data-driven pitch that gets right to the point is often what works best. You just have to understand these cultural nuances if you want to have any chance of success. So when you put it all together, you see that going global isn't just one big decision. It's a journey. It demands a smart strategy, an adaptable product, rock-solid operations, and a go-to-market plan that really respects different cultures. And that's the question I want to leave you with. You know your product is world-class, but is it ready for a world-class audience?